Happy Friday, everyone. Yes, it's Friday again. And now the good news. I'm Barbara Jean, your host, and I'm so excited to bring you this first story. I am not a math genius, but man, when I saw this, it just surprised me to no end. After more than 3 centuries, a geometry problem that originated with a royal bet is solved. Yeah. So, a pair of European mathematicians have proven a 300-year-old inference on shapes wrong and won a bet on behalf of a long dead Englishman who got into a famous argument with his prince. The story begins with an experiment. Take two gaming dice, put one on top of the other. Now think if you could position one in such a way that the other could pass through it without touching the sides. If your suggestion is that no such thing could be possible, then you took the losing side of a bet made 300 years ago between Prince Rupert of the Rhine, a nephew of Charles I of England, and the mathematician John Wallis. Check out the video. So, what he proved was that if you tilted a cube on its side and bored a hole towards its inner diagonal, you could slide the second cube through, even though they were the same size. How cool is that? It's amazing. Walls later produced this theorem with a proper equation, which would come to be known as the Rupert tunnel or the Rupert property. In 1968, scientists reproduced this concept with much more complex shapes than a cube. So it's been done, and how fascinating is that? All right. Well, here is a very cool photograph. This is a winner of Weather Photographer of the Year contest, which shows there's no end to the rainbow. What a gorgeous photo. The Royal Meteorological Society has announced the winners of this year's weather photographer. That's my good English showing up. Weather Photographer of the Year competition. Sponsored by the financial services and banking firm Standard Chartered, the competition is now in its 10th year. Chosen from over 4,000 images received from both amateur and professional photographers from 84 countries, the judges' winners were chosen by an international panel of experts from the fields of weather and climate, photography, and journalism. A huge congratulations to all our winners and runners-up. The standard of the photographs submitted this year were incredibly high. The images showcase the weather and climate in its pure beauty and intensity extremely well. The grand prize winner went to a pair of photographers from China and their winner of a complete circular rainbow. It was drizzling on Luji Lake in China's Yunnan province. I flew my drone to a height of 500 meters, passed through the rain curtain with my lens facing away from the sun, and captured a complete circular rainbow, says engineer and astronomy photographer Chen. Rainbows are a familiar sight, but full circle rainbows are much less common. From the ground, the lower half of the circle is usually hidden below the horizon. From high above, with the sun behind and rainfall ahead, it's possible to see the entire circle. How beautiful is that? Can you believe it? I looked at that picture, I don't know how many times, going, really? Wow. Okay, moving right along. This woman, this is incredible. She tracks down her long lost dad and discovers 11 siblings. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a good one. Thanks to a grand old newspaper back page ad, an English woman has found a whole new side to life, her father's, whom she had never met. It started when Louise Walters was 8 years old and found out the man she thought was her father wasn't. Louise's mom, Angie Ishmael, was in a relationship and living together with another man in Brighton back in 1969 for around a year before finding out she was pregnant. During Louise's childhood and adolescence, her mother would say that her real father was irresponsible and probably in prison or dead. One of those two prognostications turned out to be wildly accurate. But Walters always wanted to know who her father was, and so in 2010, she placed an ad in the Lost Touch column of the Brighton Argus, which read, "I'm trying to trace a Gary Pavella who lived in Kemptown in the late 1960s. It's really hard not knowing who your dad is," Walters said, "but it's like there's a missing piece. It was amazing to hear his voice for the first time on the phone." Ishmael had known Louise's dad as Gary and remembered he ran a barbershop called Pavella's. Despite her mother's low opinion of Gary, they placed the ad together in 2010. 3 years later, Ishmael got a call from a woman called Marie Ann who said she was Louise's half-sister. Mom phoned and said, "I think we found your dad." It happened during that year. A Mr. Graham Pavelier, now 81 years old, found the ad when he was Googling his old name. He had always wondered about Louise and so decided to send an intermediary to get in touch to reunite the father and daughter after more than 4 decades of separation. The reunion led her to discover or acquaint herself with 11 new half-siblings from all across the world. A testament to her mother's declaration of her former lover's irresponsibility. Including Walters, Graham Pavelier fathered 12 children by 7 women. So Louise now has 11 siblings to add to the 2 stepsisters she grew up with. Despite the ill repute, Walters said that hearing her real father say, "I love you," was very moving. Oh, how sweet is that? And on that note, we're going to take a short little commercial break and we will be back with more good news in just a minute. So please don't go away.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Laura Mock as the presence of love, Maria Hartman, knowing truth, Wendy Wilson as the quality of presence, and Lara Brzezinski as the essence of joy. It's all love, a space where we open into the heart, tap into the soul's deep wisdom, and enter into the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. It's all love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And we're back. Well, we have more good news for you. So, this one is I don't know if you've ever bought a used car and then had a problem with it a while later and how the dealer might have dealt with you. Well, this guy is truly one of a kind. So a mom buys a car for her son. It's a used car. And when the engine dies 4 months later, the salesman decides to take care of the customer. Yeah, you heard me right. Don't you wish all car salesmen were like this one in Gladstone, Missouri? Back in June, a mom came in to buy a vehicle for her college student who needed it for regular commutes to school in Kansas. JP Knudsen, the owner of Northtown Auto Group, sold her a 2017 Hyundai Tucson with 85,000 miles on it, and it came with a 30-day, 1,000-mile warranty. Unfortunately, after a few months and 2,000 miles of driving, the motor went out. The parent who purchased the SUV asked JP for a free inspection, which only confirmed the dead motor. What are we going to do? JP asked his followers on TikTok, but he already knew the answer. He's been in the car business for over 30 years and has always made customer service his top priority. And this time would be no different. So we've got nothing, JP said, about the warranty coverage, but I'm going to take care of the customer. JP told her to come back to his suburban Kansas City showroom a little later in the week. He'd get her a different car for the same money she'd already invested in the old one. Whichever car she preferred, he'd find a way to make it happen, find a path to that old-fashioned customer service. JP explained the whole ordeal in a TikTok video that has gone viral, getting more than 48,000 likes. She only put 2,000 miles on the car. Yeah, she signed a 30-day, 1,000-mile warranty. We could have been jerks like every dealership in the States and said, well, too bad, you own it. Nope, not at Northtown. Not with JP. I take care of my people. 32 years in the business, it's just what we do. So if you're going to buy a used car, maybe you want to go to Kansas. All right, moving right along. Well, this is, one of the sweetest stories I have ever, yeah, it's so good. Instant tears for principal who wished her students were at her wedding. They surprised her at school. Yes, it was a wish that not many people would make. She wanted her wedding to be filled with kids, preferably every one of the hundreds who attend her school. Oops. It's the principal at Buffalo Academy of Science Charter School in New York, Brianna Lenoy, believed they were such a major part of her existence that it was hard to imagine celebrating one of life's many beautiful moments without her students there. However, with the cost of ballrooms and banquet food, Brianna resigned herself to the much smaller guest list. But her assistant principal, Courtney Champlin, had a better idea anyway. In secret, she enlisted the kids and staff at Buffalo Academy to transform the school's courtyard and brought in Brianna's fiance to prepare a giant surprise. They created a formal aisle complete with a red carpet and set up decorations framing a white backdrop. Students huddled in the audience while Miss Champlain broke the news inside the principal's office. Yes, I'm getting emotional. She pulled on a tuxedo t-shirt so she could stand in for a bridesmaid and dressed Brianna in a veil over top, something resembling a white dress. They walked down the aisle drenched in sunshine. Instant tears. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Just seeing our school community out there, Lenoy said. A student officiated the ceremony, and Miss Lenoy and her fiance, Zach Clapp, then exchanged their own vows and presented each other with candy rings. The real ones would arrive at the actual wedding a few days later. Pupils stood up and gave speeches, with one saying, this really touched me. I want to personally thank you for all you did for me. I will never forget the difference you have made in my life. Okay, calm down there, girl. Though the couple weren't surrounded by classmates during the legally recognized wedding, having hundreds of students gathered for a dress rehearsal of her major milestone was a dream come true. How beautiful. I wish more principals wanted their students with them. Mm, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, well, all righty. So here's some interesting deer. Tramping through coastal marshlands in eastern China, a strange looking deer roams freely in herds of hundreds. Pardon me, a remarkable recovery from where they had been just a few decades ago. Described in ancient China as a beast with the antlers of a deer, hooves of an ox, face of a horse, and tail of a donkey, Père David's deer was at one time the rarest of its kind on earth. Hunted to extinction in the wild 125 years ago, captive animals clung to life in a faraway land until in 1985 their descendants could return to a wiser China where a more eco conscious population welcomed them home to the quiet marshlands. In the early 20th century, the British nobleman and politician Herbrand Russell, 11th Duke of Bedford, acquired a few Père David's deer from the Berlin Zoo and built up a large herd on his estate at Woburn Abbey. In 1985, the Duke's great grandson, Robin Russell, 14th Duke of Bedford, donated 39 Père David's deer to the Chinese government for a reintroduction program. They were placed in a park reserve that once belonged exclusively for canned hunts conducted by the emperors in Beijing. The killing field had become a sanctuary. A second reintroduction into China was conducted in 1986, where the deer were chosen from 5 UK zoological gardens. From less than 100, these original animals have multiplied into 8,200 and seem, as if by a miracle, not to be suffering from low genetic diversity. They enjoy a 17% annual growth rate in the population. And now they roam China and are descended from Russell's herd and across China's many elk sanctuaries. Dozens of square miles of pristine habitat are protected for this incredible animal. How cool is that? I'll tell you, China getting eco-friendly. It's a beautiful thing. Well, there's a lot of great people in our world, and I think sometimes we forget that. We watch the news and we hear the terrible, awful things that are going on, and we assume, or some of us may assume, that everyone is bad. But I'm here to tell you, most people are great. In Kansas City, Missouri, thousands of people came together to celebrate the life and spirit of a very special 3-year-old boy, Tucker Langford. Tucker was born in December of 2021 with a rare genetic skin disorder called recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. Okay. RDEB, that's much easier. Often called butterfly skin because those who have it have skin as delicate as a butterfly's wings. Despite his challenges, Tucker has touched countless hearts with his courage and smile. Recently, after doctors also diagnosed him with a rare heart condition, his family made the heartbreaking decision to bring him home for hospice care. That's when the Kansas City community and even people from across the country decided to do something incredible. Nearly 2,000 bikers, truckers, jeeps, and even a few dogs rolled through town in a massive parade to honor Tucker. It was a beautiful sight. Engines rumbling, flags waving, and love filling the air. It was clear to everyone here that Tucker's story has inspired more people than his family could have ever imagined. A beautiful little boy with a short life. It's always really sad when we hear those kind of stories. So let's uplift us again with a story of a 62-year marriage and an anniversary practice that they always did. When Juanita and William couldn't leave the hospital to celebrate their anniversary, the Piedmont Cartersville team in Georgia refused to let the day pass quietly. Every year, the couple marks their anniversary with lunch at the varsity, a simple, sweet tradition that means the world to them. This time, discharge hadn't come in time. But thanks to Piedmont Cartersville, that varsity lunch came right to their hospital room instead, complete with hot dogs, paper hats, and even a surprise apple pie. It's exactly what the Piedmont Promise looks like in action. Lisa's compassion turned missed tradition into a moment of joy because sometimes the best medicine is kindness and a little taste of the varsity. I think kindness is the real good one. Anyway, what a lovely story. All right, and now, oh my gosh, this is there. There's good stories tonight. Oh man, share these with your friends. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, send it off to your friends. And these good news stories come from the Good News Network and also from the Sunny Skies. So if you're looking for good news, those are two places you can go. So this is an update. A long-term follow-up in babies born with bubble boy disease still seem cured. Yes. Between 2012 and 2017, 62 babies and toddlers were treated with a genetic therapy for severe combined immunodeficiency, known colloquially as the bubble boy disease. In 2021, the Good News Network reported on the results of the trial that by 2019, 95% or all but two of the young patients showed complete immune system reconstruction. Now, the long term follow up results are in, still 95% effective. The durability of immune function, the consistency over time, and the continued safety profile are all incredibly encouraging. Severe combined immunodeficiency due to ADA-SCID is caused by mutations of the ADA gene, which creates an enzyme essential for immune function. For children with the condition, day-to-day activities like going to school or playing with friends can lead to dangerous, life-threatening infections. If untreated, ADA-SCID can be fatal within the first 2 years of life. In 1984, SCID became suddenly well known in America because of The Boy in the Bubble, David Vetter, who received a special spacesuit from NASA to allow him to leave his total medical isolation. Despite this, Vetter passed away from an infection at age 12. The gene therapy method involves first collecting some of the child's blood, forming stem cells in the bone marrow, which have the potential to create all types of blood and immune cells. Next, using an approach developed by the research team at UCLA with help from the UK's Great Ormond Street Hospital and University College London, a new copy of the gene is delivered into the stem cells by a modified lentivirus or viral vector. The corrected cells are then returned to the child's body, where they are intended to produce a continual supply of healthy immune cells capable of fighting infection. Between all three clinical trials, 50 patients were treated, and the overall results were very encouraging. All the patients are alive and well, and in more than 95% of them, the therapy appears to have corrected the underlying immune system problems. Wow. There's going to be a lot of happy parents about that. Well, listening to music is a fun thing, a beautiful thing, but for seniors, it may slash their dementia risk by over a third. Hmm. Let me listen to more music. Excuse me while I put my head. No, just kidding. Older people who listen to music often slash the risk of dementia by more than a third. The research studied people over the age of 70 and found that listening to music or playing an instrument is linked to a reduction of up to 39% in the chances of developing a debilitating condition. Increases in life expectancy due to advances in medicine and technology have seen a rise in the prevalence of age-related diseases, including dementia and cognitive decline. The new study, involving more than 10,800 older people, looked at the benefits of listening to or playing music. The findings showed that always listening to music, compared with never, rarely, or sometimes doing so, was associated with a 39% decreased risk of dementia. Playing an instrument was associated with a 35% reduction. Always listening to music. Let's listen to some music. And on that note, we have a very cute little video for you coming up. A mom and daughter rock out in the car, and the baby's reaction is priceless. This is absolutely hilarious. Oh my goodness. Every time I watch that video, it just makes me laugh. That little that little baby is looking at the two of them going, "What are you doing?" I remember years ago going for long car rides with my kids and singing along to the radio and them looking at each other like, "Can you believe her?" Well, another week, another pile of good news for you to enjoy. And I'm so delighted to have shared this time with you. As always, you're watching And Now the Good News here on the New Thought Media Network. And remember, there is a ton of incredible programming on this network. So log in and stay tuned in. And by the way, the radio station, fantastique. Yes, I'm learning French. Well, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And you may consider even giving a donation to the New Thought Media Network. It truly is the place to be. Thank you for watching. I'm Barbara Jean, your host from Canada, and I wish you a beautiful, lovely weekend. And for those of you getting a little snow this weekend, bundle up and stay warm. Bye for now. See you next time.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.